Thanks so much for joining and taking some time out of your Sunday today to learn a little more about Chapman and our admission process. Just to introduce myself, my name's Eric Klein. I'm one of the assistant directors of admission at Chapman, and I'm just here to hopefully give you a little more insight into the admission process that we operate within here at Chapman. To give you some context of the presentation this morning, it is going to focus primarily on our admission specifics, what we review, how that process looks, all of those types of things. If you're looking for more specific information about housing or financial aid, we're actually right now in the midst of our really large virtual programming. It's called Discover Chapman Events. There's quite an array of different sessions that you can sign up for if there's more specific topics that you're interested in learning more about. All of those sessions are posted on our visit portal as well, so feel free to explore those when you have time. But this session that we have this morning, it's going to focus primarily on admission. We're also recording this session, so you'll be receiving a copy of the recording at the end of our presentation. You'll probably receive that within a few days, so if you're missing slides or if I go through some information too quickly, we'll have that available for you in the future. We also have reserved the last half of this session for some Q&A as well. So we have a few current students who will be on board with us to answer student-specific questions, or if you have more specific questions about admission, I'm happy to answer those as well. We've got an awesome team of chat folks in the background too, so you should all have access to the Q&A portion of this webinar. Feel free to start putting in questions there if you're curious, and we can have some folks answering those questions as we're going through the presentation. But with that, we can go ahead and get started. We'll be discussing briefly just an overview of Chapman, who we are as an institution. We'll dive into some admission and financial aid, obviously, as well. We've got a little bit of space available for discussing housing and our campus life experience at Chapman. And then I've also got a great colleague, Nicole Bigley, who is a part of our engagement and volunteerism department. So she'll be here as well to answer a few questions about what you all can expect as parents and families once your student enrolls at Chapman. To give you some context of who we are and where we're located in the landscape of higher education, we were founded back in 1861 and are currently the third largest private university in California. We're located in Orange, California, right in the heart of Orange County, just a few miles away from Disneyland, to give you context. We're also classified as a mid-size institution. It's about 7,700 undergraduate students, and it's a pretty diverse group of folks who are coming from all 50 states, a variety of territories and countries as well. So your students are going to be engaging with folks from all different backgrounds, communities. So it's a very lively, intentional university that we are proud to call home to. As a mid-sized institution, average class size is about 23 or so. So if your student has been at a smaller scale high school or is looking for an institution that really allows students to connect with their faculty, working collaboratively in a very intentional way throughout their education, Chapman could be an excellent option for them. In terms of the timeline and what you all can expect with decisions and when you should be hearing from us, I do know there's a few families who have registered who are also just beginning this process. So August 1st is always the most important date to be mindful of as you begin the application process. That's when our application opens. We exclusively accept the Common App, so your student can create a profile for themselves at commonapp.org and begin building your profile and then looking at all the different schools that are Common App accepting, Chapman being one of those. And then the decision will come to figure out when you want to utilize one of our notification plans. So we do have our early action, early decision notification plan, and that deadline is November 1st. Students who are applying EA or ED typically are receiving their decision about mid-December or so. There's a few caveats that I'll be sure to discuss on a future slide in terms of Some of our talent programs have a little bit of a different timeline if you're applying early, but I'll be sure to speak to that nuance. If you need a little more time to work on your application, we do have our regular decision deadline of January 15th, and you can expect to get your decision about mid-March or so. So you still have a few months after those admission decisions have been released to sift through them. There's a lot of different admitted student events that we host as well that you will be invited to. We've got our big preview day, which typically happens middle of April. And then hopefully all of that time engaging with us will help you solidify your decision to enroll at Chapman, and that deposit deadline for us is May 1st. The difference between early action and early decision when it comes to those rounds is early decision is what I call a binding round. Essentially, what that means is you're promising that you will be enrolling at Chapman, regardless of any other admission decision or financial aid package that your student is receiving. It's a pretty big promise that you're making. There's an agreement that the student, the parents, the high school counselor are signing. So it's a big commitment that you're making, and it's for students who know Chapman is their number one school. We are the perfect fit, and nothing else is going to sway that decision. So it can be a great option for those students who are very confident in knowing Chapman is where they'll be enrolling. But if that's too much of a promise to be making, feel free to go early action. You're still going to be getting your admission decision typically in that mid-December timeline, and then you don't have that promise that you're making. Our admit rates are pretty similar across both early decision and early action too, so just be mindful of that when it comes to determining if you want to apply in our early rounds, which notification plan you're interested in. As I mentioned, there's a little bit of nuance for some of our programs, primarily in the talent realms. Those are some of our more selective programs that we offer at Chapman. One of the biggest being film and television production. So all of our talent programs have what we call our creative supplement that those students are submitting. Those are additional materials that are highlighting the artistic ability of the student, and those are being reviewed by the faculty of the respective programs. So we in the admission office, we are reviewing the common application for general admissibility, and then the faculty are reviewing those creative supplement pieces to assess the student's artistic ability. And then we're coming together to finalize that admission decision. Because of that additional review, it does take a little bit more time for getting those decisions released. So typically our film and television production students who are applying early action, they can expect to get their decision by mid-February. If a student decides to apply early decision to film and television production, we do ensure that they still receive their admission decision by mid-December. The deposit deadline is much shorter. That happens in January, and I'll talk about those dates as well. So because of that shorter time frame, we do guarantee that those early decision film and television production students still receive their admission decision by mid-December. We also have a bit of a rolling timeline for students interested in the programs that reside in the College of Performing Arts. So music, dance, theater, their initial piece of their process, once they've submitted their creative supplement and their application, those students who our faculty want to see more of, they will be invited to come to campus for an in-person audition. Because of that piece and that invitation, those invitations are going out throughout the fall. So students could begin receiving that invitation as early as late November, all the way through mid-March. So we do consider our early deadline a priority for those students interested in the talent programs. A lot of that has to do with that invitation for the live auditions. So be mindful of that as well. And for students interested in those programs, ensure that you're checking your emails frequently to make sure that you're not missing any of those audition invitations. If you're not interested in those programs, or if you need a little more time to work on the application, as I mentioned, regular decision is a great option for you all as well, and you'll be getting that decision by mid-March. This is more of a timeline visual representation of when students can expect to get their decisions. All the notification plans you can see on your left-hand side, and then gives you the range in which those decisions will be released to you all. So mid-December always for early decision, early action, mid-December to mid-January. And then the College of Performing Arts, again, that's more of that rolling timeline as those live audition invitations are sent out to those students once the faculty begin reviewing those creative supplement pieces. In terms of how we review the application, it is a holistic process. So, what I mean by that is there isn't one GPA or one specific thing that I need to see on the application that would automatically allow me to offer an admission. There's also not one thing that I would see that would automatically lead me to be recommending a denial of the student. All the different pieces of the application matter and they're important. I would argue the biggest piece is going to be academic viability. We want to ensure that you and your student are prepared for the rigor of the curriculum that we have at Chapman, but what I'm looking for will differ based on the programs that your student's applying to. So business at Chapman, for example, is pretty math heavy. So I'm hoping that you've at least attempted or completed pre-calculus by the time that you're submitting your application. That's not as important for me to see when I'm reviewing a dance application, for example. So the program that you're interested in will dictate what I hope to see. We're also taking a look at your involvement and how you're positively impacting your communities. If that's through official high school activities, uh, theater, sports, student leadership, maybe you don't have time to do those things. Maybe your student is working a part-time job or your student's taking care of loved ones at home and has major family responsibilities. That's important too. That is an understanding of how the student is contributing positively. And I would say that's a hallmark of the Chapman experience for our students as well. It's a lively space where students are involved in a lot of things and making positive impacts. So we want to see that illustrated through the application as well. And then finally, we have this Chapman fit. Seems kind of vague, kind of nebulous. What does that mean for us? What we decided to do back in 2019 is when we went the test optional route. So your students aren't required to submit test scores, and many are going that route. About 76% of the applications we receive are submitted without those scores. So we quickly realized that's a big piece of the application that we're no longer requiring your students to submit. So how do we fill that gap? What we did is we sent out a survey to all of our faculty on campus asking them, what are some traits and characteristics that you see that typically illustrate success at Chapman? And we compiled all of their responses and we came up with this kind of corny acronym, I'm not going to lie, but it's called SAPI. And that stands for self-advocacy, authenticity, potential, perseverance, and empathy. So there's a section on our admission reader review form that has those characteristics built in. So we're taking a look at your students for those pieces. We don't need them saying in their short answers that they are an authentic self-advocate full of potential. We're going to see it in their letters of recommendation. We're going to see it in the ways that they illustrate their experiences through their application. So just be mindful of that, and hopefully for those that have submitted, we're able to glean some of those elements. And for students who are going to begin this journey next year or in the future, hopefully you can plug in some of those elements throughout your application because that is a big piece of our review process here at Chapman. Something that is also really important to the Chapman experience is the fenestra, which means window. That's a big hallmark of the Chapman experience for our students. You'll see fenestras throughout our campus built into our architecture as well. But we see not only the Chapman experience as a window into your future and how we're going to equip you for future success. But we hope that the application is also a window into who you are and where you're coming from. So be sure to use this application to provide context of your passions, your backgrounds. If you're a local student in our Orange County area, what's drawing you to stay close to home for your education? If you're going to be joining us from another state or another country, what have you learned growing up in those spaces and how do you hope to be positively impactful on our campus? So We don't need this perfectly polished application, or you don't need to spend hours figuring out how you're going to stand out. That's not the expectation for submitting your application. Our hope is that we get a true, authentic understanding of who you are and how you're going to make a positive impact on our campus. It's also important that we discuss cost and what this is going to look like in terms of financial implications. It's a holistic review process. It's also, I hope, been a holistic journey for you all through understanding what this college experience is going to look like, and it needs to be a financial fit for you all too. So it's important that we talk about those things, and you're receiving a top tier education from Chapman, and we feel that there's strong value with our outcomes, with our faculty that are teaching you. So all in cost, you're looking at about $91,000 per year if you do plan to live on campus. We do have a housing requirement, which I will discuss, but for our local students, if you're living within a 30-mile radius of our campus, you can choose to live at home, so that could offset some of those housing costs. But if you're planning to live on campus, that's what your all-in budget is going to be looking like. That's not a number that we expect every family to come up with when it comes to paying for your Chapman education. And there's a few different ways that we're trying to offset some of that cost. The biggest being our merit scholarships, which every student is automatically considered for. There isn't an additional application or anything that you need to complete. We're looking primarily at the student's GPA, the rigor of courses that they're taking in high school, and the overall strength of the application. Those range anywhere from $9,000 to $42,000 a year, and they do renew for all 4 years. Since we're awarding those scholarships in our admission office, students receive understanding of that amount a few days after receiving their admission decision. So you'll at least have an understanding of that. We do have some departmental scholarships within our film school, within engineering, some of the sciences as well. Those are again automatic considerations, and our faculty have made some suggestions on how we review students for those departmental funds. Those come into play once the student is admitted. We typically will begin reviewing and sending notification to those students who are receiving departmental scholarships, typically around March or April. If you want to be considered for any of our need-based or mission-driven awards, we would need the FAFSA on file, the free application for federal student aid. That is the main financial document that we utilize to assess a family's ability to pay for college. And then based on those calculations, there are some Chapman grants and other financial vehicles that we can provide based on that FAFSA submission. Average package that we're able to offer students and families is typically about $34,000 a year, and a large majority are receiving something. About 85% of our students and families are receiving some sort of financial assistance from us. This is just a quick overview of what we saw in our fall 2025 pool of applicants. We've been hovering around the 15 to 16,000 application volume number for a few years now, so that's typically where we're landing. Um, we're also seeing average GPA of our admitted students about 3.78. That is a weighted GPA, and we're doing the recalculation of the student's GPA when we're reviewing their application. So that ensures that everyone is on the same playing field from an academic perspective. And again, very diverse group of students coming to us. Many are going that test optional route as well that I mentioned previously. In terms of how we see the role of the parents and families through this process, we recognize that you all play a very pivotal role, but we hope that you can kind of see it in the terms of how you would be teaching someone to drive. You can't be driving the car yourself, obviously. You need to be sitting in the passenger seat, guiding them through it. And that's how we see the application journey for our students. We hope that you're there to support and provide assistance as they explore college, work through their applications, but make sure that you're not doing it for them. We want to, again, get that authentic understanding of the student. And if they are the ones in charge and if they are the ones submitting everything, it's much easier for us to see that authenticity come through, obviously. Hopefully, you've been able to visit campus or you can make it to campus in the future. We have tours 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Hopefully, you've been able to engage with us in some facet and then also talk about this process holistically again. Does it make financial sense? Is it going to be a space that your student feels supported and is going to be equipped to have future success? All of those different things matter beyond just does Chapman have the academic major that I'm interested in? All of those other secondary factors are important to ensure that the student's not only admitted and enrolled, but also retains and finishes their 4 years and graduates with us. That's obviously the ultimate goal, and we hope that this information and our support of your students can help make that possible for you all. And then some things just to, again, help make sure that your student's doing. Check in with the admission counselor. Folks like us love connecting with you all and the students. You can always reach out to us. We have a slide where you can see who your counselor is, so I'll be sure to put that up. And then make sure that they're checking that application status page regularly. Once they submit their application, you'll have an opportunity to log in and create that status page. And then the student can see the checklist of all of their materials, making sure that they've submitted everything. That's also where they will receive their admission decision. So it's a good place to bookmark. Make sure that you're checking that regularly to ensure that everything is taken care of from an application standpoint. As I mentioned, we do have a housing requirement for Chapman. That's a 3-year housing requirement. And again, if you are living within our 30-mile radius of campus, you are able to waive that requirement. But we hope that living on campus fosters more community and a sense of belonging through the college experience. For our transfer students, they're not required to live on campus, but we do have housing available if they're interested. Um, when you get into some of your upperclassmen years, your second and your third year, your housing does get a bit more apartment style. They're going to be more traditional resident halls for our first year students, and they're in a triple occupancy suite style. So it'll be your student, two other roommates, a Jack and Jill bathroom in the middle, and then three other roommates on the other side. They do get a little more apartment style once you get into your second and your third years. If you do choose to live on campus for your 4th year, you're welcome to do that, and we do have space available for our seniors as well. And then finally, you'll be solidifying your admission decision and enrollment with Chapman based on these dates. If you are applying early decision, that deadline is a bit earlier, as I mentioned, January 10th. For students who are applying early action or regular decision, your deposit deadline is going to be May 1st. And then for our transfer students, you do get an additional month. Their deadline is June 1st. And that wraps up the admission perspective slides that we have. I would like to welcome Nicole Bigley on to our presentation, and she is the Director of Engagement and Volunteerism here at Chapman. So we do have a few additional slides for her to talk about what you all can expect as a Chapman family.
Hey, thanks, Eric. I'm so happy that many people were able to join us today. So like Eric mentioned, I'm the Director of Engagement and Volunteerism. So I work on a team for our Office of Parent and Family Engagement. So our goal is to connect parents to campus, to resources on campus, and then to each other. So right now, if you're still in the admissions process, your admissions counselor officer is the best contact until you're fully committed to Chapman. And that's the point where it switches over and our office connects directly with the parents of our current students. So we are here to help you encourage your student to utilize all the campus resources to make sure that they have a really positive Chapman experience. And we also want to make sure that you get to foster your own connection to the university through whatever areas may interest you. So In connecting you to campus itself, we have a new student orientation where we welcome students and provide parents with a great first look at the university. That's family orientation is a 2-day event, and then student orientation is nearly a full week. It's so really important for us to be able to make sure that your first step on campus goes really well. We have Chapman Family Homecoming that brings parents, students, alumni all together for a weekend in the fall semester. And then in the spring, we have something specifically for parents and their students called Parent Spring Summit. And we have a bunch of programming to explore the Orange campus and learn about the different resources and making sure that we're able to meet you with the resources for where your students are at in their journey. We also offer a variety of volunteer opportunities that will help deepen your experience. So from being able to welcome people during orientation or during homecoming to there's a parents council that we're creating and multiple other volunteer opportunities for you to be able to use your own career expertise to get back to our students. We connect parents to resources on campus through a dedicated phone line and email. You can reach out to our office for support at any time, and we'll try to connect you with the right way or with answers to be able to help, guide your student. Similar to what the SAPI method that Eric mentioned from the admissions process, we do really want to make sure we utilize that all throughout their time so that you support your student to be able to advocate for themselves for whatever they're looking for. We also have parent resources available on our website. We have a monthly e-newsletter and we share updates on social media on Facebook and Instagram. And then we connect parents to each other through regional events in areas around the country that have the highest concentration of parents and alumni. We also do welcome receptions, which are the first contact you'll likely have in a region once you know that you're all coming to Chapman. We have families who host these reception in their homes across the country. Yeah, we usually keep them in the United States, but we have a virtual one as well for anyone joining us outside of that. So this past summer, we hosted 23 of them, and they're just a great opportunity to get to meet other families before you step foot on campus and start to build up that community so that you begin to feel what the Chapman family is really like. And then we also have parent meetups. So if your students are already away and you are looking for that connection from parent to parent, we have parents who love getting our parents together to host more informal gatherings in regions across the country. I'll turn it back to you, Eric.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We just had our big open house a couple weeks back, and there were tons of parents who were helping with check-in, and it's just fun to see that the community is not only there for the students, but also we're very intentional about connecting you all as family members to the Chapman experience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Their parents are some of our best ambassadors to be able to share what everything we have to offer.
Absolutely. And that kind of wraps up the majority of our presentation slides. We do have a few QR codes up here that I've got posted if you wanted to connect with our social media channels. The one on the bottom right will also pull up our Meet Your Counselor page. So you can put in your student's high school and then it will populate who that admission counselor is. We're a big crew in our admission office and we're covering all 50 states, all of the globe. I myself get to work with all of our students in the Pacific Northwest, including Alaska, Oregon, and Washington. So shout out to any of my P and W folks who are on the call this morning. But feel free to find out who that person is if you don't know already. We enjoy connecting with you all. That's why we do this work. We just want to be resources for you and support you through the journey as your student solidifies their college decision. And now we can kick off our Q&A session. Thanks for sticking around with me. I recognize this is a lot of information in a very speedy fashion, so thanks for hanging in there. But we're now going to switch over to the Q&A portion of our time together today. As I mentioned, we also have a few current students who are going to be helping with questions. So if you have specific questions about the Chapman experience from the student perspective, or if you have questions about Chapman admission generally, we can answer all sorts of those. But Nia Dixon and Luke Sonderman are here. They're current Chapman students. And so before we get started with Q&A, first, thank you so much to you both for being here and spending some of your time with us. But if you all could introduce yourselves and speak a bit to what you're doing on campus, that would be great. And we'll start with Naya.
Hey guys, I'm Naya. I'm a second year health science major with a minor in Chinese here at Chapman. A couple things I'm involved with on campus. I'm a tour guide for the Office of Admissions, so catch us on tours. I also work on the student first aid team. We work special events with over 500 people to make sure that everyone stays safe and healthy. I am an EMT off campus, and feel free to pick my brain about clubs. I'm in the pre PA club, AMSA at Chapman, and a couple of others. Roommates and housing. I think there's a couple questions. So, yeah, feel free to pick my brain about anything.
Sweet. Thank you, Naya.
Hi, my name is Luke. I'm a second year junior. I am a business administration major, uh, and I am a university honors minor. I'm also a tour guide, and then I also work for our Safe Ride program through public safety, making sure that students can get to where they need to go around the Orange area without having to worry about using an Uber or anything. And so I'm also involved in our pre-law society. And so, yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much, Luke. I was taking a look through our questions as you all were providing your introductions and did see one about internships and research. So I would love to hear from you both about what access to those things look like, if you've participated in any or are looking to do that in the future. Would love to hear your perspectives on how that part of the Chapman experience has been for you both.
I can go. The Office of Career Services overall are a really amazing resource for our students. In addition to just helping you find internships, they can help you strengthen your LinkedIn profile. They can help you work through your resume. They'll do mock interviews. They'll help you design business cards. So overall, they are really able to guide students throughout the entire process. In my first semester of my first year, I worked with the Office of Career Services to get an internship. And I was actually able to gain one with a doctor who pioneered the tummy tuck, which was a really awesome opportunity for me. And since then, I'm actually working with them right now to get a couple more internships. So they've been a really great resource for my time at Chapman.
Very cool.
Yeah, I also kind of wanted to highlight that the Career Center is like really great for internships, but also professors are such a great resource just beyond your classes. And I've had a professor who has gotten me multiple interviews this semester for internships. I'm going to lunch with him and the head of a law firm next Saturday to kind of have a talk about internships, and the professor's actually coming with us. So there's a lot of great things and connections you can get through your professors here at Chapman, and the class sizes make it very available for you to get to know your professor enough to get to a level where they're recommending you for internships to people they know and really helping you out even in that field beyond just the classroom.
Very cool. I'm glad you mentioned the faculty too, Luke, because I've always thought we're very intentional about those faculty we hire to not only be really high quality academics, but typically they're experts in their respective fields too. So they can help you with those internships and jobs. Something that I think is important to be mindful of too is it's clear, obviously, those opportunities are widely available, but it's not going to be spoon-fed to the student either. It's important that the student raises their hand or starts connecting with faculty. Clearly, it's not very challenging, and now they're going to lunch with Luke to help with the internship. So, but again, it's not going to be just handed out to you. Make sure that you start doing your due diligence to connect as best you can as the student once you're at Chapman, too. I'm going to switch back and forth between like student questions and admission questions. There's quite a few. I saw one about how we calculate GPAs when it comes to the review of the application, and we do that for all of our applicants. The question was specifically asking about honors classes. So what we will do is we'll provide weight to whatever the highest rigor course is that's available for the student at the high school. If that's an AP, if that's International Baccalaureate, if that's dual enrollment, if hypothetically honors courses are the highest rigor, we would give weight to up to 8 semesters, 12 trimesters, or 16 quarters based on what the academic calendar looks like. So you will be afforded some weight for those highest rigor courses. Naya, I know you talked or you mentioned roommates and things like that. I think I saw a question about that process. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what does the roommate matching process look like?
Yeah, so Chapman your first year doesn't let you pick your roommates, but I promise you they make up for it. They essentially give you something I like to say on my tours, it's something similar to like an eHarmony dating survey. And they'll ask you questions about your lifestyle, like what time do you normally wake up? What time do you normally go to bed? What do you like to do on the weekends? And just do you like to listen to music with headphones or do you like to listen to it out loud? And we'll match you or the inner res life and first year experience will do their best to match you based on that. And in addition, you'll be placed in living learning communities or LLCs, where you'll be rooming with students who are a same or a like major to you. So if they're not the same major, they're going to typically be in the same college. For example, my first year, I lived with two other girls who were also health science majors with the allied healthcare emphasis. And it was really awesome because I got to talk to them about classes. We were taking a lot of the same classes and we just got to relate on that level. And it was just nice at the end of the day to talk to them about everything that was going on. So a lot of people have their doubts about not being able to pick roommates, but I promise you it works just as great.
There was another question about FAFSA, Eric, that I thought you would probably be a good fit for.
Yeah.
Is FAFSA needed for merit and department aid?
Yeah, and it is not needed. So we will do an automatic consideration for students when it comes to those merit and departmental scholarship funds. We don't need that FAFSA on file for those considerations. It is a holistic consideration. We're looking primarily at the student's academic GPA, the rigor of courses that they're taking, and the overall strength of the application. Since we're awarding those scholarships in our admission office, students typically find out what that dollar amount will be soon after receiving their admission decision. We only need that FAFSA on file if the family is interested in being considered for any of our need-based funding. There are some Chapman grants and things like that that can be added to the package on top of that merit scholarship. I did see a question about involvement as well, what that looks like. How do you get plugged into clubs and organizations? Would love to hear from you both, your experience and how that's gone, getting plugged into the Chapman community.
I feel like on my tours, I always say it's hard not to get involved at Chapman because there's always so much going on, especially around our campus. The big thing to highlight is our semesterly involvement fair, where our over 200 clubs and student organizations all table around like the courtyard, and everyone walking through gets to sign up for as many clubs as you want. You can show up to five, even though you signed up to 10. It really is just a spot for students to go meet the people who are running the clubs and the people who are running the clubs to recruit more people into the clubs and student organizations. So you'd probably have to make an effort really not to get involved because there's just so much going on everywhere and it really is inspiring to make you want to go join a club. You can also start a student organization with just showing interest with some other students and a faculty advisor. I know our Student Government Association gives funding to a lot of our student organizations, so you can actually get funding from your for your club that you're starting or anything like that. But once you come here, or if you come here, there really is something for everybody. So.
There's a
Yeah.
couple questions that have something similar related to that, but I'll let you finish, Naya. Sorry.
Sorry. I totally agree with Luke. There are a crazy amount of opportunities for students to get involved on campus. A lot of times, if you look on the Chapman Instagram, you'll see clubs and different organizations being highlighted as well. So whether or not you decide to be involved, you're always going to have the option. There are also different opportunities for student jobs. I work too. So I would definitely agree with Luke. It is really difficult to not be involved on campus.
The flyers for all the events are posted everywhere. Like it's very it's a lively space for sure. I did see a question too. This is kind of fun. What are a few words or phrases that you would use to describe the culture at Chapman or the overall vibe that you feel when you're at Chapman?
I think the number one word that I get this question on tours a lot, and the number one word I would say is driven.
Mm.
We at Chapman, our Dodge College of Film and Media Arts, we're the number 4 film school in the country, and a lot of people will just tend to associate us with that. But I would say that every student at Chapman, driven is definitely a word used to describe them. We all get involved with a number of different activities and opportunities. Chapman requires that you have a double major, a minor, or a themed inquiry. So you have multiple interests outside of your main area of study. So I would definitely say students get involved. They do research, they are involved in clubs, they have jobs on and off campus. They're doing several things for the community that doesn't just affect Chapman students. So I think that would definitely be a hallmark of the general population of Chapman.
How about you, Luke?
This is gonna be kind of corny, but I would just say like community in general. The reason I say that is because from the moment I came to Chapman, uh, there was just an overwhelming sense of community between students, between the staff and the faculty, really between everyone. It felt like everyone wanted everyone else to be there. It didn't feel like um, a competition, and it didn't feel like everyone kind of groups up. Really, every time I walk into a class, even still, I meet a couple people and I get their phone numbers and I'll go hang out with them after class. And it's like every semester it kind of repeats in that sense. It's like, oh, well, I am going to meet new people. It's the beginning of the semester and I'm going to do this. And so there's an overwhelming sense of community at Chapman. And I get that not only from being a student, but also working my two jobs and having both those jobs working on the staff side and getting to see a lot of our staff that aren't students and realizing, oh, wow, they really care as well. And it really is a community. So,
I love that. And I think it's okay to be corny, especially if we have an acronym called SAPI of things that we're looking for in our applicants. So I think that's kind of the vibe here. And since your mic's hot, Luke, there's a few questions that were kind of asked specifically to things that you spoke to. There was one about safety on campus, and I know you mentioned the rideshare program, so would love to hear your thoughts on safety at Chapman.
yeah. So, I'll talk a little bit about our Safe Ride program that works with our public safety department. And so I'm a Safe Ride driver, meaning I'm a driver for the program. And basically, what it does is that we have vans that run from 7 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. And we drive around about 2 miles from campus, like a radius around the campus, and we just get students where they need to go for free. So they can go into the app. Most every student has it on their phone, and they will just click where they are and where they need to go. And we just show up, no questions asked, always two student workers in a car, and we take them where they need to go. And it's a really great program so that we're not having students get inside Ubers, strangers in the middle of the night to get back to their residences or to get to wherever they're going. And so I've really loved working it because I've first of all got to meet a lot of Chapman students through the process and picking people up and taking them around. And it's nice to make sure that our students are safe as well.
Very cool. And I did see another question about your personal experiences, Luke, in terms of
Mhm.
your participation in the honors program. Did that factor into your decision to enroll at Chapman, or how has that played a role in your experience?
Yeah, so my how do I say this? As far as factoring a decision in coming, it did. I actually emailed an honors professor before I committed to Chapman, and I had coffee with them, and they were a major reason where I was like, wow, like I do want to come here. But just more specifically about the honors program, it is an interdisciplinary minor, meaning it's not just like taking the same classes as everyone else, but harder. What it really is that they are individualized classes taught on super specific focus areas. For instance, there's a class about dinosaurs. There's, I mean, a class about like anime, like really specific cool little topics that the professors really want to teach. They get a lot of flexibility in what they're going to teach for honors. And the class sizes for honors classes are capped at 15. And you have to take, I believe, 8 credits of honors classes. Sorry, 8 classes or yeah, 8 classes, one per semester by the time you graduate. And the biggest thing that I've taken away from honors, besides having the nice priority registration, is it's its own community in itself. It's a whole group of people who are academically driven and who you get to have these smaller classes with, so you really get to know every single person's name in the class. And so the honors program is really a community here, and I would highly recommend applying to it because it is really special, and I love that you do get the credit for it being a minor, and you get that on your diploma, which is also really cool. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we recognize that you all are multifaceted individuals. You're not just health sciences, Naya. You're not just business, Luke. There's all these other pieces, and we hope that Chapman can foster some of that exploration and discovery through your years in college. So I'm glad that you've had opportunity to do that. Shifting gears a bit, how's the food? Oh, Naya,
Um,
and she's ready.
Yeah, I always get really excited. So there are two main options for students as far as food goes on campus. The first one is going to be our Randall Dining Commons or the CAF. And students on their ID card will automatically have a meal plan. And this is going to be on a sliding scale of Panther Bucks and meal swipes. Panther Bucks are tax-free dollars that you can use at any of our 5 eateries on campus. We have Qdoba, which is like Chipotle, but I always say it's cooler because it has free guac. We have Sub Connections, which is basically Subway. We have Einstein Bagels Bros, Jamba Juice, and we have our Rotunda Cafe, which has the best sushi ever. And there's also going to be our meal swipes, which let you into our Randall Dining Commons, or students affectionately call it the CAF. And I always like to highlight this in kind of a weird way. But we don't make food in bulk at Chapman in our CAF. It's going to be made by plate. And as an EMT, I always stress that allergic reactions are very real, and you're actually able to talk to the chef as they're making meals. So if you have any major dietary restrictions or even minor dietary restrictions, all of our chefs and our staff are very accommodating, and they definitely work with you. We also have allergen information. We have a special kitchen designed for students who are severely anaphylactic to several large scale foods. So I would definitely say food at Chapman is not just really, really delicious, but it's also really accessible for students who have dietary restrictions.
And as Naya mentioned, those Panther bucks and swipes are on that sliding scale. The cost for all of the meal plans will be the same. So the only thing that you're choosing is how many swipes. If you think that you're going to be eating in the cafeteria more, you can choose a plan that has more swipes. If you think you'd rather use the quick and easy eateries around campus, you can do less swipes and more Panther bucks, but cost will stay the same throughout those as well. Have you, either of you, utilized any of the on-campus support systems, if it's psychological services, tutoring center, any writing center, any types of those things? What has been your experience using those?
The tutoring center is awesome. I love going there. I had never gotten tutoring before college, and so I didn't really know what it entailed. And then I needed to go to tutoring for one of my classes. I was like, I need some help. And the professor was also helping me a lot, but I really just needed to get some extra help from another student. And so I went to the tutoring and learning center, and I had another student who succeeded in the class and actually had the same professor. They were able to help me a lot, just study for my tests. And so I now, after that experience, go there a lot. Even if I'm confident about a test, sometimes I'll go just to study for a final exam with one of our tutors or something, because they really are a very helpful resource, and it's free, so you don't have to pay anything for it. And they really want to help you succeed. Just like I said about everyone at Chapman really wants you to succeed. But the Tutoring and Learning Center is a great resource. I know we also have a writing center where they will help you with your essays or papers or anything that you have to do. I personally haven't utilized this resource yet because I don't know, I probably should, honestly. But But it is a great resource, and I know several people who use it a lot. And so maybe the next time I have to write a paper, I'll go in there.
Thanks, Luke. Anything else to add, Naya?
I mean, I've utilized several services. I have a couple friends who utilize the student psychological counseling services. They're amazing there. They offer free short-term counseling for up to 6 months. And they can also recommend you to psychiatrists in the area if they believe you need medicinal intervention or any other form of support that we aren't able to offer at Chapman. I'm an EMT, so I'm really biased when I talk about this, but our student health center is also really amazing. It essentially acts like an urgent care for all of our Chapman students. They can do advanced care there or advanced life support. They also have the ability to fax different imaging requests to hospitals if they believe you need an intervention that we can't provide. But I'm a recent survivor of first semester sickness, which is the most insane flu that every college student will experience. And I was able to get antibiotics there for a whopping 20 cents. I know, highway robbery, but they really are amazing there.
That's great. Thankfully, you survived the first semester flu too. Thank goodness. In that vein, I did see questions kind of about balance. So even if you haven't used any of the official supports that we have on campus, do you feel like the balance between academics and your social life and your work responsibilities, how does that feel? How have you both been able to navigate that moving into your college years?
Yeah, I feel like there is a lot of opportunity for you to create your own balance here at Chapman University, and there's a lot of encouragement to do that. And at the end of the day, of course, it's up to you. But I'm the type of guy that works really, really hard and then forgets about everything else. And so I definitely started my time here at Chapman like that. And first semester, I was talking to one of my professors about how I had 3 jobs and I was involved in this and this. And he said, dude, you need to cool down. He's like, you just got here. You need to make sure you keep your weekends free and you hang out with your friends and you don't go too hard on yourself because if you go too hard on yourself now, then in 2 years, you are going to not enjoy your experience anymore. And so I took his advice to heart and I really brought my commitments to all the different random things that I was working on, brought those down and gave myself time to hang out with friends and have social stuff while also still working a job and still having on-campus commitments. And that advice really helped me out. And it also just further highlights that the professors are not just there for your academics. A lot of them really do care about you as people and give really great advice. So I always recommend staying after class for 10-15 minutes if the professor likes to hang around or going to their office hours. Every professor has them not just for your class needs, but also just to chat them up because a lot of times they have really great insights and they will help you through your college experience staying balanced as they see students do it every single year and they have great tips and tricks.
Thank you, Luke.
As I have always been really passionate about this question because as a health science major, I think there's a stigma that being a STEM major, you have time for nothing else. But Chapman University really prioritizes a mix between academics and fun. Even though I'm involved in 5 billion different things, and everybody always says, oh my gosh, Naya, you stretch yourself too thin. You have 2 jobs on campus and a job off campus. You're going to work an internship soon. You're in all these clubs. And the biggest thing is stretching yourself too thin doesn't really exist at Chapman if you're doing what you love. I don't consider my jobs and my clubs to be too much for me because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So I would just say Chapman will make sure that you're doing what you love. And if not, then you're not looking for it enough because it is there for sure.
That's a great point. Yeah, it's hard to be stretched thin if you're enjoying the experience. Absolutely. I'm seeing a lot of questions about more on the admission side of things. We'll get back to student questions too, but around merit scholarships and how we review. We don't include the test scores that we receive from students in our scholarship consideration since we are a test optional institution. So no disadvantage from a financial perspective if you choose to not submit your scores. And again, it's a holistic review. We're taking a look at all of those different pieces. Any of the courses that you have on your transcript that are considered academic solids or pertain to your area of study that you're interested in pursuing at Chapman will also be calculated into that GPA recalc. So we'll give you weight for those highest rigor courses. And again, since we're awarding in the admission office, you'll understand what that scholarship looks like a few days after receiving the admission decision. But going back to some of those student questions, I did see one about Greek life as well. Would love to hear your thoughts on its impact on campus. How big, how prominent of a role does it play? Do you need to be in Greek life to have fun? All those types of things.
As far as Greek life goes at Chapman, about one-fourth of the students are involved. We have 10 social sororities and 8 social fraternities on campus. I didn't rush my first year, but I've actually already signed up to rush for my second year. I'm really excited. A lot of my friends are in sororities, and I just really want to be a part of it. But you absolutely don't have to be involved. I'm not rushing just because I feel like I have to in order to keep my friends or in order to stay involved on campus or do fun events, because all major sorority events are going to be open to all. My favorite one is Air Bands. It's hosted by our social sorority Gamma Phi Beta, and it's a lip sync dance battle between all the sororities and fraternities. And those are ticketed events and they're open to all. And you're going to be also supporting the philanthropy. Gamma Phi Beta has raised over $87,000 in a year for their philanthropy Girls on the Run. And that's just from doing Air Bands and some of their other events that are ticketed at Chapman. So even though there is one-fourth of our students are involved, it's not required.
I know I'm watching our time. I want to be mindful of everything. I saw some questions about jobs as well. You both are employed at Chapman. What was it like getting that? Was it challenging? Were those opportunities readily available? Would love to hear what that looked like for you.
I always get the question on the tour, is it easy to get an on-campus job? And I never like to say it's easy, but it's very accessible. So the options are out there. We have a Chapman's like student employment page where you can scroll through job listings, and there are job listings all over campus in all different offices. And but it is like a real job application as if it wasn't a student application. I mean, you have to submit a resume, answer several questions in the application. And then if they choose to move you on to the interview process, you're going to go and interview. So it is a real job application process. And so while there are lots of options, it isn't necessarily easy. You still have to do the work and going, interviewing, and finding what you need. With that being said, the only 2 jobs I've ever applied to on campus, I do have. But maybe I'm just lucky, or maybe I'm just a great interviewer. And I really, really love working on campus because I get to meet a lot of the people kind of behind the scenes, a lot of the staff, a lot of the faculty that before having these jobs, I was kind of, I mean, I didn't even know that what they did or that they were, a lot of them were here. So, I guess the community, again, I keep saying that with all my messages. I picked a good word. But the community that you meet through your student work positions, really great communities, and you really become friends with a lot of your fellow student workers and staff members as well.
Thank you, Luke. Yeah, you have 100% placement rate. That's a pretty good stat that you can share. That's awesome. And I want to be mindful of time, but Naya, I think you liked this one, which I think is a great one to end off on. Is there anything that you have learned or that you have come to love about Chapman that you didn't know prior to applying? And what has the Chapman experience given you all?
The Chapman experience has given me a couple of things. We have 4 main pillars. We have our physical, our social, our intellectual, and our spiritual. And I feel that even though I'm only in my fall semester of my second year, all of those have come to me in one way or another. But the biggest thing that the Chapman experience has taught me is that academics isn't everything. And I know that sounds kind of weird coming from a pre-health major, but I struggled academically in my first year. And Chapman taught me that that's not everything. I've managed to bounce back. They obviously have resources and they want you to succeed academically, but it's also not that kind of college that is going to kind of knock you for not being able to do it. So I think the biggest thing I've learned from Chapman is that being perfect isn't the goal, but being you is more the goal. I know it sounds corny, but that's kind of what I've managed to learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Luke?
The biggest skill so far that I've taken away from my experience at Chapman, or the biggest thing that I've learned that I didn't realize going in, was how important networking is. And when I came to Chapman, I did not feel like I was very good at networking, and I didn't realize it was something that was going to have to come to me. But then, when talking with professors, I realized that when you really do have an interest or a love for what you're doing, and everyone else around you has that same interest and drive, networking comes so easy. And at Chapman, in your program, I feel like I have seen that I am so passionate about what I'm doing. Everyone around me is so passionate about what I'm doing. And it makes that networking, meeting people, talking to professors so easy because it really is just doing what you love. And so I feel like that's so special at Chapman that everyone has such similar interests in mind in every single program, and everyone seems like they really want to be here. I always like to say I never hear anyone complaining around campus, and that's great because I do not like complaining. And that's just because I really do enjoy that everyone has that kind of Chapman spirit.
I would agree. We're happy to be here and we want you all to be successful in whatever it is that you choose. If it's a competitive medical school application, if it's the internship that you'll land with that firm, Luke, we hope that we can give you the tools that you all need to be successful while having a little bit of fun through your college years too. Well, thank you both so much. We are at time. It's 11:32, so apologies for going a few minutes over, but thank you so much for everyone's time and joining me today. I did see some questions about the Q&A if we would be able to send those out. Unfortunately, you won't be receiving the transcript of the Q&A, but you will be receiving a video recording of this session, so you all can go back and take a look at those. Any questions that we weren't able to get to, we'll be connecting with you all this coming week. So just know that even if we weren't able to answer your questions here, we'll get to you coming in a few days. But thank you so much again to the students, to my chat team in the background. Much appreciated. And I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.